Eh? What do you guys think? That is the beginning of the studio. All I got is really the backdrop. The sign I'm not sure about just yet. The idea is there though, and I hope that you guys like it too. Leave a comment down below if you think that that looks cool, because I do. I really do. But anyway, let's get to it. So today, it's going to be the first of probably many slow fishing days. We're in the area now where kind of it's a little bit too cold, a little bit too windy to get out and do the fishing that I want to do from the little tin tippy boat I got. We'll try and do what we can in the back lakes if we need to, but I'm also on call with this new job. So, with that said, I don't want to give up on doing fishing content, of course. So we're going to merge into what you normally see me doing this time of year, and that's the backroom stuff, which is why I made this. What I want to talk to you about today is fall fishing. Now, you've seen previous years where it's been a really, really big struggle, and this is my second year out. Now, this year I got to do a little bit more fall fishing with a guide rather than doing it on my own, and the year before that was kind of my own thing on smaller lakes. And I think that I've made a little bit of progress from where I was, say, 3 years ago, where I really couldn't find anything. And it was super, super frustrating. And maybe you're like that too. Comment down below if you're having a hard time finding fall fish. I think that I have a few tips, maybe that weren't from my words, but I can say that I can at least experience some of those things. And maybe these tips will help you get out on the water and catch a little bit more fish. So just to walk you through kind of what I do is I usually go online and I'm trying to find information. Of course, when you go to YouTube, it's a lot of US stuff. It's really, really hard to find Canadian fishing information here. And as I've been going through, I don't know that there's really a ton of difference. And I think it's where you go, how you fish it, obviously. That's no brainer, of course it is. But I think that you can take the stuff that people are saying from the US and use it up here up north as well. A good proof of point is what is the name of that place? Linder's Angling Edge. Linder's Angling Edge started in the US, is doing a lot of stuff now in Canada, and they're using all the same stuff that they used to do down in the States way up here in Canada. And the number one thing was Troy Linder actually posted on Instagram one of his favorite smallmouth jerkbaits, which is a bright orange jerkbait. And he said he was using it down in the US and was just smashing it. So I asked him, think that'd work up here in Canada? He replied. He said, yeah. So again, it's gonna work for you down there. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because a lot of the information that I found that I want to share with you is from big U.S. fishermen, the professionals in the industry, which is where you should be getting your information from. Not just Dock Talk or Tackle Shop Talk. These guys actually back it up with fish. My number one is KVD. If anybody knows me, KVD has always been my favorite. I mean, the amount of tournaments this guy's won in his career kind of show that, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And although, yes, kind of as years have gone on, the last few years haven't been kind of like KVD, they've been more kind of like KVD. You realize that that guy is also running a big business where a lot of his time now is business oriented versus fishing oriented. Or maybe that's just the way I'm seeing it. But either way, KVD, I made some notes here that I'm using, but KVD, he's from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So he is just south of us. He's not very south. I think I did the math here, and yeah, it's like a 7-hour drive from where we're at to Kalamazoo. So if you did want to use that thing where Canada is different from the US, I mean, that's 7 hours difference. He's probably fishing pretty close to the same kind of water we're fishing here. So what does KVD say? Check it out. Watch this clip.
And I want to find a big flat. And so if you find a big flat that's got a lot of grass, the number one thing that bass relate to this time of year is they like those inside turns. And what I mean by an inside turn is you may have a big point of grass coming out. Well, that point sticks out way to the main lake. Well, where that corner, where that flat, the side of that flat comes in close to the bank, in that corner right there is usually where they're going to be grouped up.
So KVD just gave you a spot that you can go out and try right now. Got my notes here, just wrote it down. Big flats, thick grass lines, inside edges. That's actually where I caught my early fall PB largemouth on Lake Couchiching. So I'm probably going to believe them. If you are still hesitant, let's take it from a Canadian guy this time, Carl from Extreme Angler. I'm sure you've seen his stuff on YouTube before.
I'm going to try to fish these little pencil weeds in areas close to deep water first thing in the morning. And I'm fishing anywhere between 2 feet to about 6, 7 has been the key today.
So there you go. Two professional anglers telling you where these largemouth are. Again, it sounds like it's in deeper water. Carl mentioned even just starting out in deeper water and then he moved up shallow. The one thing I will point out about those two clips is that it looks like it's kind of an early mid-fall kind of area that they're in, not necessarily late fall, which we're in right now. So my assumption from there would probably be just working deeper. That's a starting point for you guys to start at, and then just kind of work deeper. It's what I would do anyway. So now, of course, those two are both talking largemouth, which we have here as well. But if you really want big bags of fish, of course, Lake Simcoe here is a smallmouth factory. The last two, I think, fall tournaments were like 30-pound bags, ridiculous. I don't know about this fall, but at least the last few falls were like 30-pound bags. That's ridiculous for 5 smallmouth. That's huge. So where do you go for smallmouth? So I decided to check with Al Linder, again, one of my favorites, who, of course, is a U.S. guy, as you know, comes up here and fishes a ton of Canada lakes, which is actually where this next clip's from. It's actually from a Canada lake that he's on and where he finds smallmouth.
What would you say, Jim? 20 to as deep as 40 feet with around 25 to 30 being pretty average on the lakes that we fish.
Is once you get to the end of the break and then it flattens back off on the bottom of the break, and then you get like staggered boulders down in 25, 30 foot of water, and you get flats, and the bigger those areas are, the more carrying capacity you can have in a given spot.
So if you're just watching the clips here, I really do suggest you go out and watch the videos. I'll link them all down below. They come from other channels and they deserve the traffic because the videos are amazing. This one in particular because he's actually showing you on a map, like the Linders do, using a map showing you exactly where these fish were found, which is a lot like what we were looking for when I went out with Tom, which is, it's a different kind of structure that we were on, but again, it was a line structure, deep, right? So these fish were going deep, just like he said. And here, I think he mentioned that they were about 10 feet deeper than what Carl and KVD had said their largemouth were found. Now, I always like to have multiple sources for the information that I'm getting, just to make sure that I'm on the right track. I'm not just taking one particular idea and going out with it, although there's nothing wrong with that. I just like to make sure that I'm kind of on the right track before I get out there. And the one person that I really enjoy looking at is another Michigan goer, Benjamin Nowak. If you've not seen his YouTube videos, please go and do that. That guy is just a smallmouth slayer. He's an offshore smallmouth fisherman, so fall time is kind of his thing, right? He gets a lot of big smallmouth.
And that first spot is going to be the most obvious breaks that you can find in the lake. So if that's a big point, if there's a single point that comes out, that's a good area to check. If there's a point leading back up into a shallow bay, that's a really good spot to check. But these bass are going to also follow the bait and move to transitional areas. You're going to look for the most obvious spots with hard cover. Now, why hard cover? Hard cover is going to stay warmer longer, and that shallower water is going to also maintain that heat.
Now, if you took the time to go see that whole video, you'll notice that he kind of runs you through from like summer transitioning into fall and fall transitioning into late fall. So he's done a really good job showing how those fish move in various types of water basins. So definitely give that video a good look. Again, Ben kind of mentioned that they're hardcover oriented. unlike the largemouth, which are weeds and reeds and stuff like that. They're going to stick to that harder cover. And he showed you all the transitional areas because in what he said is they're chasing bait fish, right? So because they're chasing bait fish, he's hitting all those hard structure areas right up into the shallow water. Now, the one thing that I really want to point out was even going back to the KVD video where he mentioned that these fish they're not like they are in the summer. They're in kind of the same areas that they are in the summer, maybe a little bit deeper, but they are congregating. And that is a really big thing. And I think that was the part that was stumping me a lot and getting me really frustrated when I was trying to find fall fish, was that, I just expected to find fish the same way I would find summer fish, just deeper, which isn't really the whole truth. The big truth there is that they clump together. And I saw this in the fall from my Dalrymple video where I literally stuck, sorry about the noise, I literally stuck in one section of that lake for like a couple of hours and just hammered fish out, like every other cast was a fish. And again, this fall when I went out with Tom from Fatal Force Fishing for smallmouth, we stuck in that same spot all day. All day. We just drove back and forth all day. If you haven't seen that video, go check it, because we just hammered them. We stroked so many fish that day, and they were all in that one area. So, don't get frustrated that you're not finding them. Wait until you get to the area that they're at, and then game on. So how can you find these fish? Excuse me. How can you find these fish? JP DeRose put a Facebook video out, I think it was, probably last year. I can't find it. I wish I could. But it was him just going down the lake with side imaging. And I think side imaging is where it's really going to shine this time of year, where you can just drive down the bank and just looking out the one side of your boat, and you're looking for hard structure, for smallies, and then soft structure, if that's what you want to call it, weeds, reeds, stuff like that, and just marking all these areas, looking for larger scattered areas of boulders, like Al Linder said, or inside turns, off flats of weeds for largemouth, like KVD said. So I think side imaging, but if you don't have side imaging, definitely going down the lake, even in a zigzag pattern, which is what I do because I don't have side imaging. Zigzag pattern, just looking for those areas and just marking off certain areas on your map that you can come back and fish a little bit later. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out was the baits that they use. Now, a lot of these guys had baits in their videos that they're using. A few of them, like for an example, KVD was using tubes, and Extreme Angler was using, I believe he was using a flipping rig. So, I mean, these are slow presentations, but what I think that those guys overlooked, that Ben caught like right on the nose for you guys, was that he was out searching for these bass with moving baits, trying to find them. And once he found productive areas, then he would slow down and use smaller things like tubes and stuff like that. And again, when we went out with Tom, because he knew the spot already that we had fish, it was slow. It was dragging a swim bait, oh so slow, just to make sure that we triggered those fish. In my fall Dalrymple video, same deal. I was using a drop shot. In my early fall PB largemouth, I was using a drop shot. But those were areas that were high production area. I had seen fish there, or I thought that it was really, really good cover and I wanted to really dissect it. So moving baits, find the fish. Once you find the fish, slow down and use those same summer things that you were using before, swim baits, drop shots, tubes, all those things to really dial them in and get as many as you can, because like they said, they're all congregated in one area. Hey, look, I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you have suggestions, ideas, or even comments about this, feel free to leave them down below. You can also email me at info@orilliafishing.com, and I'd be happy to talk fishing with you and maybe even make it onto a video here. But please let me know what you thought about this video down below. I really, really enjoy the feedback. So thanks again. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see some more. And comment down below. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.